YouTube, it's Brian Phillips coming back to you again with another house update. This is not about radio controlled airplanes at all. We're here because we've been waging a war that you didn't see on camera until now. Well, you've seen it before, but just not now. And the war is being waged on all sorts of pests. As you know, we built this house. The camera crew will now give you a shot of our living room that's mostly cleaned up, which is pretty exciting. We only have one small remnant of things that are exploding throughout our house because of my addiction, which this is my charging. And then also, this isn't part of my addiction, but this is the remnants of our house moving, getting set up in the upstairs main level. And then of course we have this giant box here, and then this slew of different weapons that I want to share with you so you know what we're doing. Remember, we've invaded this ecosystem here. We bought 10 acres and we built this house, and it's beautiful, and we have the sunset that's coming in, trying to catch my wife's face on fire right now. And so I'm gonna get to the point. We want this stuff opened. We want to unbox it so we can show you. We have one thing we're going to unbox, and the rest is just going to be a digression of what we've done to fight. Starting mostly with mosquitoes have been our #1 enemy. Secondly, we've had to fight snakes. We've fought barn swallows. They kept wanting to make nests right above our front door, which is white trim, so it looked like somebody threw a turd at the top of our trim. And so that was fun. We didn't have to kill those things, which is nice. The snake didn't have the same demise. But anyway, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through the list really quick, and we'll tell you what we did, and then we'll unbox the, hopefully, victory shots against the mosquitoes. At least as it pertains to our area where we live. We understand that we're not gonna kill all the mosquitoes, although if we could, I would absolutely do it. And if you have comments that are in support of mosquitoes, we can't be friends. But you can make negative comments if you want. Please be my guest. I've gotten my fair share in my day. All right, so starting with this is an insect fogger. This is by Burgess. We bought the Burgess one. There's a bunch of, we'll link to something similar. We use these gas cans. You get these at your local camping supply, Walmart, wherever, Menards, Amazon. I'm not sure they sell this size. They sell a long size. They work really good. I like the shorter ones. These things are great in an in-town environment. We just have too much room. Let's give them one quick shot of kind of what we're up against over here. Our property is lined. It's bisected by drainage, which looks precariously like creeks. And obviously the grass isn't in yet, but once you come over here so they can actually see what we're talking about. This is the waterfall over here. Okay, so this is a waterway, and there isn't a lot of standing water, but for practical purposes, if you were to imagine this is our lot, and we're here, there's water wrapping on both sides. And the road is also catches and keeps some water in it too. So we have a lot of mosquito issues to deal with. That's our predominant pest control issue. And then of course we've had to deal with mice. Mice are easy. We've dealt with a lot of spiders. We don't particularly care for spiders, but we know that spiders eat mosquitoes and things of this sort, so we don't want to totally kill all of them, just the big, giant, huge ones that should not be allowed to be alive in a cold northern climate like ours. So this works great. Get one if you don't have one. You can treat a lawn in town. Don't forget to get a striker. Strikers are how you start this thing. Okay, I'm not gonna start it. We're in our kitchen. You'll notice I have it sitting on top of a nice bank of paper towels here because this stuff is bad for you. You don't wanna like eat it. It is an insecticide. This stuff works good. We've had good luck with it. My current use for this is treating our 3-car garage, which let's give them a quick shot of our 3-car garage. Our 3-car garage, what happens is we have doors opened, and then we come in from the garage. And so I need to basically fog this environment. And so if you give them a shot here with the doors all opened, the mosquitoes work their way in. And you'll notice if you look at the ceiling, we have one spider up here. But if you look, there's not millions of mosquitoes, and I can open my door. Here's the thing, guys. If you're living in the country and you have a doorway like this and you open your door at night, there's going to be 20 that come in, even through the garage. So what we've learned is that this fogging the garage a couple times, you know, a month would be enough to really kind of knock down the numbers significantly. But you have to be on top of closing your doors. If you do it when you're in a project like me, you leave the door open, it gets really bad, you just fog it. It takes like 2 minutes, you hardly use any. This thing holds one of the, I believe it's a quart size, and so you'll burn through it quick, and it's expensive stuff. So you may find that you want to just do it once or twice a week while you're in the midst of a project, and just close the doors, and then you can open the doors in the morning and let the residual out, and it works really good. So be careful, this is a torch, it burns and it heats up the gas and then shoots out a fog. It works very effectively. You can shoot it right at where the lights are. You don't need a ton of it.
You did a video on that we could.
I did a video.
If you want to see how it actually works.
So if you want to see how it works, granted, I've used it a ton, had very good luck with it. I do fog around the perimeter of the house occasionally. And if you have an area where you want to have like a party or something like that, you can fog the area and it will help for a couple of weeks. Surprisingly, you'll interrupt the life cycle of the mosquitoes. So remember, anytime you interrupt the life cycle of mosquitoes, you're winning, even though we have natural enemies out here too, lots of dragonflies. That's our number one enemy of the mosquitoes that we're trying to protect, and that's one thing that we're gonna have to fight with because these things can interfere with some of the natural enemies. Bees also, you don't want to fog during certain times of the day if you're trying to preserve bee population. In our case, the bees that are here are usually wasps and hornets, so we don't really mind killing them. But we don't want to necessarily kill the dragonflies. They're good. They can kill like up to 1,000 a day, I've heard, which they always say 1,000 a day. I'm not sure where they come up with these numbers. So anyway, that's been our number one weapon. Mice, we've just used a product called Rad-X. It's easy on, it's supposed to be humane. I think it does ultimately kill them because it dehydrates them, so they go looking for water. We had one mouse in here during construction, took care of it just fine. The barn swallows, we used a hawk decoy, so we'll just show them the hawk decoy real quick. And again, guys, this is just trying to run through the list real quick. We're not going to give you every little detail, but we're going to show you, there's the hawk as it sits, okay? So coming out, again, another one of the things, you would see 1,000 bugs up here during an evening, okay? So this thing is a hawk decoy. So it's made of plastic, it's very light, and then you fill it with sand, you pull out a plug on the bottom, and then it makes it heavy. And this is where the barn swallows were making their nest. And it was right up on top of the trim. And so ironically enough, there's a frog that comes by, it's an albino frog, or it changes color, and it looks just like...
He was on the back deck today.
I was hoping to show you guys, but he'll go up there and make his dwelling right where they were building that nest. So there must be something attractive about it. And there was 3 barn swallows, and I was about ready to take them out, but I didn't.
The other thing that's helped with the decoy is having the ceiling fan. We have a ceiling fan.
Fans also freak out the birds, and it freaks out the mosquitoes and stuff, especially if you get a spider that makes a web here, which they do like to make webs there. So turn the light on and you will be amazed how fast you'll fill that sucker up. So we've done that a couple of times. We put these indoor-outdoor fans outside, and if you have, if you're wanting to grill or whatever and you've got a grill out here, just turn the fan on low and it will keep the bugs from coming in the door as much. So we've learned that. That's really helpful. And, you know,
we could show them the plants while we're out here, since you're standing out here.
We've done some natural plants. This is, you want to just help camera?
Yeah, this is lemongrass here in the back.
This is not a perennial, by the way, in our area.
Not in our area, we don't think.
It might be perennial. They can't list it as a perennial, but it's possible to be a perennial.
Yeah. That's just decorative. But the other stuff.
These aren't lemongrasses?
No.
Oh, okay.
This up here, the little short one, is lemon balm.
Yep.
Which,
pretty much the fragrant stuff is what works best.
Yep. And then the little purpley flower here is cat mint. It's similar to catnip, but cat mint is a little more ornamental, but still has the same like insect repellent properties.
and they smell. If you take a leaf and you crinkle it up, you'll
Yep.
smell it very strong.
And then these planters have the lemongrass as well, and the lemon balm. This little stuff in the front, whoops, sorry, is lemon thyme. And then we have marigolds and lavender. Our lavender is not doing super hot, but it's back there, which are all supposed to be good insect repellent or mosquito repellent plants.
We flanked our doors.
Yep.
And there's been a market improvement in our mosquito area here. The zone around the house there's been an improvement, but I think a lot of that has to do with the timing in the year and just the general climate, because it's dried out quite a bit, because we're going into July. So at the beginning of the season, it was so bad that we were almost scared that we were like losing our property to these guys. So we spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on different types of chemical treatments and stuff that we could buy. And we're just actually getting around to applying some of it. But we've been using the bug zapper, so we'll go ahead and jump into that. This is a Flowtron. It's supposed to treat 1.5 acres, which is a bunch of malarkey. I bet we were thinking about getting 4 of these. Now, when the truck goes by, I'll go ahead and explain. We basically are situated in the middle of a property that's bisected. We're on a knoll, which is like a hill. And so there's drainage that wraps around it. So if you imagine our house is being hugged by a waterway, the waterways and the tree line is where the mosquitoes populate. And if you saw the back creek, which is the name creek, the ground is covered with leaves that are about this big, and it's green, and it's about this high all the way in every direction. It looks like one giant leaf. And every one of those leaves has about 100 mosquitoes on it. And when I say 100, they hatch on the underside of the leaves. And it is incredible how many mosquitoes are out there. We may go treat that area. We may go ahead and plant some perennials along our walking paths to help to mitigate some of that disastrous effect of these mosquitoes. Remember, mosquitoes are pests, make no mistake about it. Also bats. We do have bats out here. We've seen a couple, but we want them to populate. So we're gonna link to some houses that you can build. They're super easy to build. So we're probably gonna build them, and we made a dark house. Again, not real good for mosquitoes. They evidently like darker colors. So in hindsight, we love the way the house looks, but maybe we would have picked a lighter color to help with that. And they do like the dark. So this is what we've done for our bug zapper. It's a Flowtron. It's supposed to treat 1.5 acres. We were thinking about putting one of these on each of the corners. Now we did sod in our as part of the build of our house, but as you can see, the rest of the stuff is just like a clay sandy mix with a lot of rocks in it. And I cannot believe it, because this stuff has just come up on its own. It's basically just crabgrass, but it's still good for ground cover. And then we've mixed in some fiscus and different grasses. The idea is we do have a bit of a cushion right now to keep the mosquitoes out, because they're going to build out there. They're going to build their homes out there. They're not going to generally go for the shorter grass if they have a better choice. So keep the grass short if you can. This thing, we just used a shepherd's hook, and we have it plugged into a wall outlet with a timer. So we'll show them the timer real quick. The timer is, which brand did we get? We got a, shoot, I don't have it on.
Is it, I can't remember. I think it's a Watts off the top of my
It's a
head.
Watts, but it's got a dusk to dawn setting.
Yep.
And so like if we're gone, it'll come on its own. And it's got 3 grounded outlets, and it's a weather resistant. And so it's also got a remote control. So we're plugged into just this green outlet, or green extension cord. And so then it will come on its own for a dusk to dawn setting. And basically, if you were to set up a regular timer, you'd want it to come on before dusk and dawn, or stay on past dusk and come on before. I said that backward. You want it to be on before it's dark. Like right now, the mosquitoes are going to start attacking in the next few minutes, okay? And so we're just in the process of filming this video, so we probably won't get to doing a lot of the spraying and things like this. Oh shoot, I just saw a bunch of dragonflies. I want to show the people at home. Some of the plants also help to support the mosquitoes, also support dragonflies. I mean, it's a natural ecosystem. Also, ponds evidently like to bring along dragonflies. So if you have ponds, you're going to have mosquitoes, but that also helps with dragonflies. So make sure whatever treatments you do, you try not to kill the dragonflies, because they're going to take care of more mosquitoes than you can take care of with your chemicals. Yep. So anyway, again, this is a regurgitation of lots of things we've been learning. Like I said, we've been waging this war for can we we need to show them one other thing. But my camera crew has improper footwear on. One other thing, let's just go down here real quick. We'll show them something really quick. One thing we've been doing.
Wait, I don't have any footwear on.
Oh, you don't have any footwear on? Oh my goodness, we're gonna pause it and get footwear on. Okay, so the camera crew, okay, so we're gonna show you what she couldn't show you. This is what we've been doing. We've been making paths, and the paths are kind of weak right now, but this just gives you an idea. We're just trying to make the natural environment enjoyable without completely destroying the ecosystem. So we're gonna take this stuff for hay, for agricultural use, which sounds ridiculous, but you can see the bugs already here. Okay, this is where we have our crossing, our man crossing. And if I were to walk back here, you can already see these bugs. If you would have seen this before I cut the chest high stuff, it was impossible to walk back here. You'd have been eaten alive instantaneously. And so we've been clearing the grass, makes a big improvement. And then these plants, they like to catch water in these little openings. And so I've been trying to eradicate some of it. I don't want to totally eradicate all of it because it's naturally occurring. And so you want to have these things for the ecosystem to work. But you don't want it to get so out of hand. Like this, I could probably clear some of it. And just to give you an idea of how tall this is, it doesn't look like much, guys, but look at this. And there's a mosquito on the lens right now. So just to give you some idea of what we're up against, this is twilight, so it's gonna be worse. And we're just cutting paths. So what this does is it gives a nice cushion so that this doesn't necessarily wanna come over here because it's just like, it's better there. Okay, so going back to meet the camera crew. And it's beautiful. The sunset is beautiful. It's one of the reasons we bought this property. And just to give you an idea, this tree line and drainage waterway, whatever you want to call it, wraps all the way around. And then on the other side, our neighbors also have another tree line. So the camera crew is currently getting mosquitoes off of me. Okay, so I'm going to yield the camera.
Okay.
So coming back inside, that was a mosquito. So as you can see, guys, this thing's not on, but it will automatically turn on. But I'm going to show you that, turn it on real quick. And all these lights. Another thing we did was all the downlighting, which makes the house look really nice. It's all LEDs, which helps a little bit because there's not as much heat. So the animals aren't attracted quite as much to it, but they still are. Because they like the incandescent bulbs because there's heat generation. And so they're attracted to that. That's why this is 80 watts. Let's show them what it looks like inside of here before it turns on. You do have to clean these things, kind of gross. And then on the bottom, there's actually that attractant.
That little white pad thing.
Yep. So you have to actually stick that on there. And that actually creates a chemical reaction that makes carbon dioxide, just like we're breathing out. And then the bugs are attracted to it. That's why you're supposed to be about 25 feet away from where you're trying to dwell outside, okay? So we figured if we did that on all the four corners of our sod, it would give us a good amount of coverage.
We're gonna go in and turn it on so they can see.
And the zappers make a pretty good amount of noise too. So when you're making your decision about how to handle, I put the remote over here to be prepared. This is what came with the timer. Comes in a package like this, and then you get the remote control, which is super nice. Not a huge range, but it works well. So you want to try to give them a shot of this?
Here, hold on.
So I'll just press the button. So there's turning on.
Yep.
And then turn it off and turn it on. So we're going to turn that on, leave it on. We were thinking about having 4 of these things, and that way our property is kind of blocked because the creatures come up and they have to get to you somehow. They aren't living in the front yard as much. They are some, but there's, a million times more out there. So you want to make a barrier. So we're going to do 4 of those at some point.
That was just the outside lights clicking on.
So that's the other thing too we're learning. Outside lights. We put a dimmer We put a dimmer on all the perimeter lighting that shines down, and then our coach lights come on, like show the people at home. Our coach lights just came on. These coach lights are beautiful and they look really nice, but we have backed that off from almost being on like 24 hours a day to being on for like 40 minutes. So at night when you first have the sunset, you've got the lights on, it looks really pretty. But then there is definitely a trade-off, and that is that the bugs like it and they come to it. So you need to be prepared for that as you're making decisions. Okay, so the next thing on the list is, this thing works great. We are gonna come back to the big fogger. That's our next thing that we'll unbox. This is another project we're doing. This is to deal with spiders and ticks and roaches and the different things that crawl into your house. This is an indoor-outdoor insecticide, 7.9% bifenthrin, which bifenthrin. Did I say it right?
Bifenthrin.
I can never say it right. So this stuff is really concentrated. You have to be super careful. Any of these insecticides, you have to be careful, follow the label directions, don't get crazy with it. They're in plastic bags because these are clean plastic bags, so I can have them on the kitchen counter. I would not typically put these in the kitchen because they are poisonous. So I believe which one of these is bad for cats?
I was just trying to think of that.
It's either this one or that one.
Yeah.
So guys, if you have cats, do some research, be careful. We do not have cats. I don't wish them any harm, but you need to be a little bit careful about that.
The other thing that we're thinking about with cats is chickens at some point, not wanting
Chickens
to do,
and
bees. Yep.
And
So,
bees,
yeah.
So this is the insect killer 1.5 acre effective range. If you were in town, I think that probably would work well, but we're up against some other barriers.
And they
So-
also have a smaller one that's a little bit more
Yeah.
inexpensive if you're in town.
Yeah, it's a 40 watt. This is an 80 watt. The 40 watt's supposed to do 1 acre. So we'll link to this stuff so you guys can buy it for yourself if you want. By the way, when you buy stuff from our channel, when I say from our channel, look in the description below. Just follow the links. You can follow the link and then buy your airplane. Or you can follow the link and then buy your car, or whatever it is you're going to buy. It helps support the channel. It really does. So, I mean, it's not much. It's a few bucks a month, but no big deal. So this is, Permethrin is the other product we're getting. Now, you'll notice that these are, this is 36.8% Permethrin, okay? There's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of different names. And buying pesticide is a lot like buying tires. Tires are not really particularly exciting. Unless you're getting her done on your farm truck, but in my experience, buying tires sucks. Buying insecticide also sucks. So take it from us, just follow the link and read the instructions, be careful, be safe. We do a lot of fast and loose stuff on this channel. This is not one of those things you want to do. Do your own research. Don't hurt yourself or your family or your kids or your dogs or your cats or whatever it is, okay? So we're also going to use that to soak. This is cotton balls. We're probably going to use lint from our dryer. Seems to be a better way of doing it. But what you do is you put this onto...
Put the Permethrin on the cotton balls or the lint.
And then you put it into the tubes and you lay these out throughout the yard. And it sounds crazy, but the way that ticks get so out of control is that they are super, super small, and they actually will basically parasitically get onto mice. And that's what these things are for, mouse tubes. And you put them out and the mice come and get the fabric, lint, cotton, whatever you put in there. You can take shirts and chop it up. They'll take that stuff and build nests, and it gets on their body. It doesn't hurt the mice, but then it kills off the ticks in their infant state. And ticks, again, if you have anything positive to say about ticks, please, we cannot be friends.
Go somewhere.
They're parasitic. They cause disease, Lyme disease, which, by the way, if you didn't know this, it's sexually transmitted. It is an STD. So if you get Lyme disease and you're married, your wife or your husband needs to get checked, or your significant other, or whatever, boyfriends, girlfriends, all that stuff. You need to seriously consider getting checked because you can die of Lyme disease. So be careful about that. Our daughter had 2 of them on her the other day. That was exciting. I found one the other day, and we haven't seen any since, like literally since we bought the property. So we've seen 3 ticks. Not a huge problem here yet, but when you get a tick, it can cause some serious issues. So you want to be careful about that.
And the average mouse will host up to 60 baby ticks. I don't know what a baby tick is called. Yeah. So if you get them,
that's why
if you get them when they're small, then you can hopefully cut down on the population before
And
they get big.
The mice will literally take this throughout your entire yard, because remember, the mice host them, and then they come off and they crawl up the top of a leaf and they jump onto deer and things like this.
And people and kids
People,
and yeah.
kids. And the kids are the worst because they don't know to check for them, and they're like, "Hey, mommy, I got a giant bump on me. What is it?" And you go find it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful about that. Check your kids when you're bathing them and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the 10,000 foot view of what we've done so far. We're gonna link to all this stuff. So if you guys are curious, just check the description below. And what we're gonna do is now we're gonna unbox the new toy, which I'm pretty excited about. I don't know if it's gonna. This is made by Tomahawk. It's a product that it's got good reviews, but again, it's one of these things where I think you kind of need to need it, okay? Because it's fairly expensive. I think we gave around $300 for this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, good lord, it's heavy.
Do you need a hand?
I just need a second hand to pull the box down.
Okay, I got it.
So this is what we bought, and I love this picture. Let's get a nice close up. So what this is not a fogger, even though when you're searching for foggers, this will generally come up. This is actually a mister. And what it does is it sprays the permethrin, and some people will also put in a small dose of permethrin as well. But if you do that, be careful. Mixing ingredients is always dangerous, you know, if you do it wrong. So just be careful you get your percentages right. That's why we recommended these bottles, because you squeeze out what you need. And some of the links I think we're gonna have are similar products. Some of them aren't. They're the exact product, so just be looking through them. When you mix it, make sure you mix per gallon, whatever you're supposed to mix. And if you put 3 gallons of water in here, I believe you can put the active ingredients for the same gallon. But again, make your own decisions. Don't blame me. I'm just a dude on YouTube. So when you get this, these things are supposed to be not the easiest to assemble, but I've assembled worse things in my life, professionally and for fun. It's really well packed. I mean, honestly, it's super well packed so far. Okay, let's show what it looks like in here. There's some kind of stuff loose in here, like the chutes and things. This is actually just a blower, guys. That's all it is. And the blower is going to, it's gonna blow the product past, and then the liquid's gonna drip into the stream of air. And thus you deliver the product. So it's gonna mist, or it's not fogging. The fogger actually heats up a tube with a flame, a live flame, or you can get these that plug in, which is a total waste of your time. Just don't do it, it's not worth your time. And then it sprays out a fog, and it is very foggy. It's awesome. I wanted a fogger this size, but you can't really get them. They're industrial and scale.
They're significantly more expensive.
Significantly more expensive.
We're gonna start
Comes
here.
with a mixing bottle. It shows gas and oil. This is a 2-stroke engine, so you need a 50-to-1 mix. 50 gas to 1 oil, not the other way around. If it doesn't start, it's your own problem. I buy the mixed stuff because I don't like mixing fuel. Nice, thick, corrugated. This stuff's like almost like wood. Very sturdy. That box is probably not going to get crushed. Okay, this thing is heavy. We understood it to be heavy. One of the things people were saying they did was that they would put it onto a counter like this, and then they would get it strapped on and then have their spouse fill it, or whatever helper they've got. Oh crap, stuff fell out. Okay, so this is the nozzle. You can see this here, guys. This nozzle is how it sprays out. So that's gonna spin, and then it's gonna suck out the product through the tube, through a Venturi action. If you don't know what a Venturi is, look it up on YouTube. You're on it already. It's on YouTube. So, see the brass fitting there? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you've got a valve to set your settings. It's got a 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you've got a barb fitting here. And then, I don't know what that thing's for. So this is actually your gas tank, or wait, that might not be the gas tank. That's some other tank. And then there's a bunch of little pieces. That's a little bit scary. Looks like that's actually maybe like a hanging device. And then a tool. It's got a multi-tool with a Phillips screwdriver on there. If you don't have a Phillips screwdriver, I hope you're not buying this thing. Caps, and then some O-rings. Not some O-rings, one O-ring. And then a larger O-ring, okay? Looks like some sort of an orifice on there. So this thing is heavy, so when you do get ready to put it on, you'll want to try to maybe have help or set it up on a counter like this. Maybe not in your kitchen would be advisable.
Some people recommend it starting with less product until you get familiar with it.
This is like squishy,
Oh.
like foam. And then there's little pins that can be pulled out.
Adjusted?
Yeah. And it looks like these are clips. These clips are going to actually go under to here and clip, okay? And then this is how you would adjust your length on your straps, okay? So these are going to get gross and sweaty, but this is not going to absorb the product. It's kind of like the kind that would wash off. It would just rinse off of there. Then this is where you put your product. It's labeled as 14 liters, 10 liters, which I believe 14 liters. Come on, guys. I thought it was in gallons. I think it's a 3 gallon. How many is that on my feet?
Oh, I just too fast math.
There's a gasket on the lid, and then there's a, show them up here because I don't want to have to lift it up. There's a screen on this, and then the takeoff is down there. There's your takeoff.
Okay.
Okay, so when you go to fill this, you put it in here, and then that's an overflow, it looks like, because it goes off to this side. Oh no, that must be how it ventures. That's so that the pressure, so this doesn't get squished. So this is where you're gonna take that off, and then you can adjust and put different types of fittings on there. And of course, this is a gas-powered device, so you need to, have gas. So it's gonna be gas and oil because it's 2-stroke, it's not a 4-stroke. The starter, choke control here, and then looks like an air filter, and there's a clip here that will allow you to pop that off. A little bit hard to use that in my opinion. Sometimes those plastic components. Okay, I'm just gonna undo this. Looks like it's a screw. Once the screw comes out, then you'll be able to open this up. I mean, we didn't see a lot of people showing how to put this stuff together. So that was why we were thinking this might be helpful for some of you guys as you're making your decisions. That does, oh, there's 2 of them. So yeah, so that's where your filter would go. So you'll just screw that without a toolless removal. That's really nice, I think. So this is labeled as mix here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the gas cap has a warning on there. It's got a keeper, which is nice because it's very easy to drop. Lids like this. I'm assuming you probably don't want to put gas in it while you got it on your back. That might be a little bit dangerous, but spark plugs up top. Looks like it's easy to get to. There's an emission sticker on there. I don't really care about that, so I'm not going to read it. But it looks like it meets some sort of emission standards. This evidently at one point must have got broke by one of their customers, so they put that in there. Looks like this is a setting for bringing in product. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it looks really nice. Made by, it's
Cardinal, but then and Tomahawk is the
yeah,
other like
Tomahawk
name
is the other
on
name
it.
brand. We're not really sure about the name brands. Still looking through here, trying to find instructions. I don't see any instructions.
Oh wait, there's more stuff in the box.
Oh, there's more stuff in the box. Jeez. Good. See, guys, this is why when you get these things, there's actually a literal cutout at the bottom for the instructions to sit. So this reminds me of once we built a pool. We had my dad bought one of these tools that you put in your backyard, and it was really cool. And then they built a deck around it, and then the day they finished the deck, 50 by 50 feet, tornado hit the house. Okay, so here's the instructions.
Finish your direction story about the pool.
Oh, so anyway, so the directions were at the bottom of like the 3rd box. And I mean, we're talking like 10,000 pieces by the time we got to that. We had literally given up and hired somebody to come install it at that point, which, great move for having a professional installer, if that's the way you're gonna do it. So there is instructions here. Nice, flexible, it's supple. This is a rubberized plastic, it's not just plastic. Everything else appears to be plastic except for this. This one's more plastic too. That's plastic, this is rubberized plastic. So this is what's gonna come off of here, and then that allows you to terminate your blower. So these are all the pieces, and we're just gonna do one quick once over. By the way, if you're looking for the model number, here it is. CMD65, okay? Liquid dust blower. So you can use it for all those things. And to be honest with you, I learned something about the property too. Remember this like build update sort of thing? My little blower from the city is not quite enough for our 37-foot wide driveway and 170 feet long. It takes forever to clear it off. So the instructions are supposed to be maybe not great on this. I'm gonna just flip through them real quick and just let you guys be the judge. Let you be the judge of that. It's not in Chinglish, that's always good. Fogger, quick assembly, page 4, okay? Wow, it's in color? Whoa. Are you kidding me? Who does color manuals? Remove all parts from, jeez, we figured out the first step without any help. Fasten the ribbed tube A to the blower elbow. This is all stuff I assumed we were gonna have to do. Looks pretty simple, looks like twist, lock in place. Attach the fan nozzle. Okay, there's a trigger. You see that? Where's that thing? Oh, it's hanging off the counter. Okay, so.
Right there.
This is where your mixer valve or your shut-off valve, it's open and closed. It looks like it's kind of like on or off. No, it's just a ball valve in there, but see, the ball valve can be opened or closed to a certain degree. So you could actually do some level of control there, but you also have control on another control. Then there's the trigger, that's your throttle control. You have a kill switch. You can also lock it on, okay? So there's off and there's on. Like you don't have to hold the trigger the whole time, which would get, it doesn't seem like much, but I would say that's probably like an 8 or 9 pound trigger pull. It's gonna take some effort. And then your kill switch here. So it's off right now, it'd be on right now. I am envisioning a bit of a problem. I am a right-handed person, right-handed as in like the standard handed. It does look like this might go there. So yeah, it's not gonna shoot out the left side because this is the back.
Right.
So it is gonna be on the right-hand side. So if you're left-handed, you have to learn to use the right-handed setup. Like everything else you've ever bought in your life, I'm sure. Okay, so looks pretty straightforward. You attach the chemical line first, you do that, and then there and there. Oh, look, it's in another language. What?
No, that's the, what? Treetop height booster? Hey, we're gonna need that because we have trees.
Oh, the treetop height booster. Is this it?
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah, so this thing's supposed to be able to spray up to 50 feet high, and you've seen the terrain back there. These trees are over 50 feet high, especially if you measure from the bottom of the creek bed. So you'll notice that with the extensions installed, it's all the same exact installation instructions. What the heck is different about it? 50-to-1 pre-mixed fuel, not included. Okay, so the duster assembly. Oh, I see what's going on here. So basically the duster assembly is a little bit different situation. You take off the, see, locate the dust tank. That's what this thing is, guys. I was trying to figure out what the heck this thing is. It doesn't look, you know, container, it's got holes in it. So that'll be something you get to store for the next 27 years in your garage.
Well, maybe somebody.
Safety precaution, fueling, chemical handling. That's the valve we were talking about. There's a primer in there. Let's show you the primer. It's nice to see a primer in real life. It should be over here. There's a primer bowl here, okay? Right here. You wanna go down further. Now back up some so they can see where you're looking. So when you prime it, this is the primer bowl, okay? Let's go back a lot further. So it's kind of buried in there, guys, but there's a primer in there. And then of course you're gonna pull start this. So my recommendation, get everything set up, start it, and then put it on your back. So set it up on a counter somewhere It's supposed to be fairly heavy because it's fairly heavy without chemical in it. And you're gonna add, what is it, like 7 pounds per gallon for water, plus or minus?
I think it's 8.
8 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just call it 8.
Times 3.
So you're gonna be 3.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be 25 pounds more on top of this. And when I said 25, that was rounding. Okay guys, so looks like you've got controls for your flow here. You got controls for your air there. This looks like a pretty good manual in my opinion. I'm wondering if the company put together a new manual after they had complaints. They have a complete exploded view diagram here. It's not super high precision, but I can definitely see what needs to be seen. And the cool thing is, guys, it shows all the part numbers, and it looks like you might even be able to order this stuff. It's very hard to find parts like this, guys. So I would say that was a total pass on the instructions. I haven't actually put it together yet. And then it looks like, what are we in Spanish or is that French? That's El Motor. I think it's Spanish. Yeah, that's in Spanish. So it looks like English and Spanish. And looks like just the precautions are in Spanish because I don't see the full assembly.
Looks like the picture part maybe is just in the front.
Yeah. This is what they recommend you wear. Chemically resistant gloves, rubber boots, long sleeves, hearing protection, which I will definitely wear, goggles. I'm not sure I'm gonna wear goggles because they'll fog up, but I'll wear something. A hat and a respirator. So that's incorrect. Don't hold the spark plug while pulling the start. I mean, if you need that in the instruction manual, this is not the tool for you because you're gonna kill yourself with it. So in closing, because I don't think I'm gonna assemble that whole thing. Should we assemble the whole thing for them?
No.
It looks really simple.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll try to get you guys a clip of actually using the tool. It looks like it's gonna be a good tool, and that is the last thing that I can think of for pest control at this property that like I said, it's been a war. It's consumed a little bit more time than we expected. But it's also, you know, we did expect to have to fight with mosquitoes. We just didn't know to what degree we were going to be fighting with them. So,
we didn't talk about with the bifenthrin. We're just using the little pump sprayer.
Oh yeah, that's right. So the bifenthrin.
I don't think you mentioned that.
It's just a pump sprayer.
Yep.
This is just your run of the mill. This is a 1 gallon container. These things are usually dispensed in the gallon mix ratio. So it's just nice if you've got this. I have, you know, like a 2 gallon or 2.5 gallon sprayer that I use for, you know, weed control and things like this in the yard. Again, that was in town. This is out here. This stuff is going to be used to spray along the foundation, along the edges of the windows, potentially in the basement floor along the foundation that's exposed. And what this is going to do is this is going to fend off spiders, centipedes, millipedes, all the different types. It's going to do all this stuff. It's gonna kill all the creepy crawlies that want to get into your house. And you can look at the instructions if you want. I don't want to tell you guys how to use this, but that's what we're gonna do with it, and that's gonna help with the spiders a lot.
And the bifenthrin can also be used in the blower. So
it's expensive too.
Yeah, we're just gonna try the Permethrin first and see how that works. But you could do applications with the bifenthrin.
Yep.
Do your own research and figure out what's best for your family and your situation and
your
all that kind of stuff. And yeah, cats, kids, whatever. So.
But this is gonna be the treatment for the creepy crawlies. That's gonna be the treatment for predominantly mosquitoes and flying insects.
Yep.
I don't know how we're gonna avoid getting some of the helpful creatures when we do this, but the millions of mosquitoes that we kill, all you have to do is interrupt the life cycle. So that's why when it rains, your mosquitoes go out of control, and then it dries out and you're good for a few weeks, and then it rains and all of a sudden they're crazy again. You have to interrupt the life cycle, and then instead of having 1 million mosquitoes laying eggs and larvae growing up to being 100 million, you cut your million down into, you know, 500,000. And then 500,000 becomes, it's just a math thing. You know, that's why here in the northern climates, we lose all our mosquitoes every year. And so they don't get to being this big or this big like they are in Florida. So guys, that's it. I know this is kind of like a highly technical and boring video, but we had to share it because this has kind of become a part of our life. And especially with the build on this house. I mean, you build in the country, you sort of expect some of this, but we're also far enough out in the country that we have to deal with it. Some of you guys are out even further in the sticks, or you're in the woods. You're gonna be dealing with this, so plan for it. You know, budget maybe $1,000 when you're building your house to just buy stuff like this. I think we're in it right now, $500 or $600.
Yeah, probably.
So, but the chemicals are gonna add up depending on how often we treat. So we're gonna treat as little as possible to have as little environmental impact. We want the ecosystem to work, but we want to own this land. We want to use it. We don't just want to be beholden to the animal attacks and the you know, roving swarms of mosquitoes when we're going to go out and grill a burger in the evening hours. So that's why we're doing all this stuff. But it is, so far, just the change in temperatures made a big improvement. So hopefully this will put us over the edge to where it's almost like a city lot. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any of the stuff you want to buy, go ahead and put it in the, look in the description, follow the links. You'll help support us in that way. And then we will try to post some footage as well of this thing running so that you guys can see how it works. There's a lot of videos out there, but we just want you to know how it works in our application. We'll do a follow-up so you know how it works. And check the description for that too. If you're watching this and it's not July of 2019, there's a good chance we've already updated it with a comment or two to help you know what was important and what worked. So, by the way, the bug zapper did work. We just need about 4 more of them. The timer worked great. The striker worked great. The fogger works great if you have a small yard. It's very effective. The tick thing, we're probably not going to be able to give a good report on because that's all going to happen passively. So, but in terms of that, we'll give you an update. Thanks for watching, guys. Come back for more. Okay, so we have the sprayer all assembled. On the side of the sprayer, you'll note that it says 14L for 14 liters. Regrettably, it doesn't appear to be marked in gallons, even though that's the way everything is talked about. In the manuals, of course, we're in North America, so that's what it's going to be. So with 14 liters, that ends up being about like 3.6 something gallons, 3.7 gallons. So it's basically 3.5 gallons. That's going to be close enough for what we're doing because we're going to use a full batch. As you can see, I added an extra extension in here, which means I had to get an extra run of this hose, and everything went smooth on the assembly. It was super easy. And then one thing we ran into for trouble is, well, where do you put this thing? Well, this is the box it came in, and then the box that it was packaged in is inside. So it's actually very sturdy, and it ends up being, for me, I'm 6 foot tall. It's a little bit low for me. So if you aren't 6 foot tall, it'll probably be about perfect for you. So the reason I say it needs to sit like this is because you want to start this thing before you actually go to work with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it empty, have the top sort of tight so it doesn't vibrate off because this thing vibrates a lot. And I'm going to show you the starting procedure. So my camera crew is going to go around and then film from that side. It says the choke setting is opened and then closed. So you start with it enclosed. You put your fuel in. Let's talk about that for 2 seconds. We used a 50-to-1 premix True Fuel. This stuff works pretty good. It's not cheap. It's a lot more expensive than regular fuel. So we have also got a batch mixed up using the supplied mix. 50-to-1 is what they suggest, but you can do it as low as 30-to-1, which is right here. So basically you put your fuel in until it stabilizes at that line, and then you add enough oil like this. This is just an example to make the mix 50 parts to 1. So it's challenging because there's not very much difference there when you go 50-to-1. You can go a little bit more oil if you want. Up to 30-to-1 is what they say, but I would recommend starting with 50-to-1 if it'll go. We did have some trouble starting it. I have trouble starting everything, so probably not the machine. One thing I learned about doing it is that you choke all the way on. I'm going to put my hearing protection in. And basically, you're not supposed to hold the spark plug because you might get like shocked. So I usually kind of hold this area here and I'm pressing down on the box. This box is very sturdy. You could sit on it, okay? Give it a pull. Listen, when you hear it start hesitating like it's gonna fire, then you can go to the run and just don't do any more, okay? And it'll go. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, did you prime it? And then I'm thinking to myself, no, I didn't. So we're gonna go ahead and press the primer, which is down here, and look at these fuel lines, guys. These fuel lines are empty, okay? Actually, they're not empty, so we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead, put it back into choke. We're gonna pull one time. And then we're gonna go to choke off. And as you can see, it's gonna take me a few times, so we'll pause it. Okay, so after many failed attempts, meaning like 3 more, I realized I didn't turn this switch on. On instead of stop, and then your trigger gets locked in the on position. That gets the throttle on, okay? So that was what I was doing wrong on those first 2. So we're out of choke now. And it's gonna go. There's choke, and there's run. So when you do it right, it took me about 2 to 3 pulls. The problem is it's a little bit tricky to remember that because it's out there. You'll get used to it with time. This thing is pretty manageable when it's full of fuel only. But once this thing has a bunch of liquid in it, it's going to be heavy. So that's why we cut it up here. And throw them on the ground. Catches the edge. Some weed whackers and blowers will want to just about fall off of the table. Notice that thing is pretty well balanced. It's not walking away really fast, but it will walk away. So be careful that it doesn't fall off and spill all your expensive chemicals. So, I know you're thinking, you just shut it off. That's crazy. Partly because I want to make sure you guys can hear me. The other thing is I'm going to talk about what I chose for safety gear. Okay, you can choose whatever you want. I don't care. It's all in the manual. If you want to wear a mask and a respirator and a whole body hazmat suit, rubber gloves, nut cup, all that stuff. I got shoes on that cover my feet. I got socks on underneath that. I got long pants. I got long sleeve shirt. I got this frock thing. I get these at work all the time. And then I have longer rubber gloves. These are like a dishwashing rubber glove. And then I'm going to wear in-ear hearing protection and just a regular hat. I am not opting to wear a respirator because I'm already sweating like crazy. And by the time you start sweating like crazy, it's just going to get crazy. And if you wear a full face mask, you're going to fog that thing up in like 5 seconds. So that all being understood, some of you are in hotter climates. I've seen guys do this in shorts and a t-shirt. It's probably not the best move, but it's your call, okay? It's your safety. Do what you feel comfortable with. We are going to mix the chemicals. So for that, I'll put on my safety glasses just to stop some splashing from getting in my eyes, okay? We're going to take off the lid. We're going to lay it down. We're going to grab this. This is just a hose. It's primed with cold water, nothing special. There's this catch. What we're going to do is we're going to run this in. Now, normally I would run this thing while I'm doing this because I don't want to have the risk of filling it up with chemicals and then have the thing flood, okay? When I say flood, I'm flooding it, it's not flooding. I suck at starting engines, I don't know what my problem is. So I'm gonna fill this up. You can see pretty good on the gauge where the water line is. We're gonna go about halfway, okay? See how it's starting to flow? This is a good time when this starts to flow to make sure that your valve is in the off condition, okay? This just is the flow valve, and then it pulls it off with a Venturi effect, okay, down there. Okay, so we're finally getting to the point where it's starting to go down the tube a little bit. Now I'm trying to figure out why it's going down the tube at all. Because I guess there's a certain amount, once the water weight is high enough to displace it. See, there it goes. You'll notice it's not coming out, that's good. So when you're all done running this system for the day, okay, so we're at 5 liters. Remember, we're going up to 14 liters. you know, with our mix ratios, we don't want to stop just shy of that, but I'm going to go ahead and mix it. I'll just mix it a little teeny bit light on the chemical. So once this gets up to about 10, I'm going to go ahead and add in the chemicals. I'm going to give it a good shake, okay? Then we'll go ahead and put in the rest. So we might pause it while it goes up to that level so we don't waste you guys' time.
Okay.
All right, guys, so we're at just over 10 liters, so I'm going to go ahead and stop running the water. We'll just lay the hose down so it doesn't spray all over everything. You can put this thing down, you can leave it out. It doesn't really matter. That's just going to catch debris. So this is the chemical agent we're using, okay? If you want to come over here and watch with us. It's Permethrin, SFR. This is a brand we got. We'll link to stuff like this. This is your sight gauge on your filler. We have a designated plastic bag for this chemical, and then we have a designated plastic bag for this chemical, which is what we use for our bugs. Okay, this is Permethrin. We used it. I watched several spiders die. It was glorious, and they were big. We haven't seen a bug. We sprayed 2 nights ago. It was dark. We couldn't really show it because there wasn't anything to it. You pretty much mix it in here 1 per gallon, 1 ounce per gallon, which this is marked in gallons and liters. Shook it up good, pumped it a few times to get the pressure built up, and we used the sprayer to spray. It was the easiest thing you've ever done. Keep the kids, pets, and then people away from the spray until it dries. Really happy with it so far. You can apply it to the grass, you can apply it to the side of the house. Pretty much did the thresholds. It did not mark our dark siding. Our dark siding is gray, as you've seen. You'll see it today.
You can also apply that inside, like basements and
inside
stuff like
the basements. Again, you don't want to eat the stuff. You want to protect yourself. I did that in less protection than this because it was not really that hard to control the spray, okay? Okay, so this is dangerous stuff too. You don't want to eat it. You don't want to drink it. You see how it doesn't come out? That's because you got to open this cap. You can pour bulk with this, or you can do your proper measurements here, which you'll notice it's closed. So the reason I show you this whole process is because sometimes it helps to watch somebody else do it. Even though it seems simple to me, it might not be simple to you. I have no idea. So we'll use a screwdriver. Keep in mind that this is also sealed under the other cap. So if you aren't going to use bulk, you wouldn't have to open this, but I usually open it. Okay, because a lot of times you have to vent them for it to work. So I've got it opened when I'm ready. It's closed tight now. Remember, if you guys keep this where your kids can get it, that is not a good idea if you have kids, okay? This stuff is not good for kids to get on them. And you're probably thinking to yourself, but you're going to spray it all over the place? Yes, I am, because it's also bad for bugs. And you know what else is not good for kids is 100 mosquito bites. Okay, so we got 1 ounce. That's supposed to be good for 3 gallons, or excuse me, 1 ounce per gallon. So we're gonna do 3 of those.
And that's for our application. So read the little book because it has, depending on what you're spraying, if you're spraying, you know, chicken coops and that kind of stuff. So read for your application.
For your application is gonna be a little different than ours, maybe.
Do you want me to hold that in film?
Okay, it's floating away now that we've got our other app. One thing I've noticed about these things is you see that there? When you tip it, it wants to pour in some extra. So I've always found that it's easier if you can open this valve, that should disappear. See, it's wanting to overfill it now. There you go. See, sometimes if you open that valve, it'll let it back down, but evidently it's too full. Sometimes the first ones are not so good. It's just like with your stable for your gas or whatever. So I'm gonna tip it sideways just to try to keep it neat. And before I get the chemical all over it, I'm gonna clean up the lid because you know it's just wanna go everywhere. So there's 1. It turns creamy white in here. Show the people at home. Look at that. That's weird.
Well, it is weird.
You see it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll do the second one now. Okay, so there's 1 more. Do not lose count. Okay? Gosh, and I'm going to go just a touch more on the last one. And that's because I know that we're a little bit over our mark. Okay? So now we'll cap this off. And the first thing we do with chemicals that could be dangerous is we get them in a bag. This is just a plastic bag from work, just a leftover. Obviously, it's not going to be reused for our sandwiches or something. Okay. Now we can go ahead and get things tidied up and then we'll come right back.
Okay, guys. So keep in mind, this is also what we're going to use. We're going to use the Permethrin for our tubes, correct?
Tick tube. Yeah, tick tubes.
Tick tubes. So tick tubes will be coming up later. I don't know if we're going to film that because it's just such a simple process. We're basically going to follow the instructions, probably mix it into a sprayer, spray it onto like a bunch of lint, and then we're going to take the lint and just stuff it in. And these things will go out and literally be left out, probably away from the house a little bit, and then the mice will take them and build their nests, and they'll kill the ticks for us, which is really cool. So anyway, I didn't want to confuse the issue any more than it had to be, but that's where we left it. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this. Notice I have my safety glasses on because this could splash. So I'm gonna just kind of be mindful of that as I go. And it's wanting to splash going through this sifter thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to peel that out of there. I do not like that that thing is splashing. There we go, much better. So guys, when you're doing this yourself, you notice I'm working at a nice comfortable height too. So that box really came in handy. I mean, if you had a countertop that was this height, that'd be fine too. But then you also have to remember, like, you're gonna get some of this chemical on whatever you're sitting on. So you may not want like a lot of the concentrated chemical just like floating around everywhere. There's a pretty good head of foam on this. Let's show the people at home. There's this much foam, so make sure you get it up to your mark and not just the foam, okay? If you have too concentrated a dose, first of all, you're not gonna go as far with your chemical, but you're also going to, gosh, how far is it? It's pretty hard to tell now all of a sudden.
It is.
I thought I was just above there, but it's giving me a hard time seeing actually. The froth is getting so thick I can't tell. But just remember, this stuff is pretty expensive, so. And look at that, guys. Look how frothy it is. Go to the other side with it. I can't tell either.
You're not helping.
No, not helping at all. So anyway, guys, you get the idea. It's not really rocket science to fill this thing up, but I just wanted to show you. And by the way, my hose is leaking. So if you guys see water on the side of this and on the bottom of this, that's just my hose. So sorry about that. It's not actually the device leaking yet. So we'll see how it turns out. I think we're probably good enough to get this plunged in there. Man, that is hard to push through the foam. Look at this.
That's crazy.
It's like thick. It's
heavy.
It's like whipped cream, except delicious. Oh, not
for mosquitoes.
Not delicious. Deadly.
Yes.
So we're just gonna force that lid on there. It's delicious for mosquitoes. All right, good. So now I need to mix this up somehow. Obviously, we will have mixed it. Look at the creamy stuff coming through here, guys. See this? Mm-hmm. So you can see it's not mixed all the way down, so there's going to be, it's displacing a little bit. So I'm just going to do this. We're just going to get it mixed for a few seconds. Nothing magical here. Is that coming out the top?
That's what I was just looking at.
It is coming out the top. So we've learned something today. Doing a full 3-gallon batch is probably going to be a bit of a mess. So you want to make sure you have a rag that can be used to clean up the mess. Remember, if this is just water, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But these are chemicals, and you're also going onto a brand new machine in my case. So you don't want to get the machine all disgusting and covered with chemicals, even though that's what you're going to do with it generally. This is also a blower and a mister, duster. So, all right, so we'll take care of that after a bit. I need to start it again, so I'll let you guys watch the process. Once it starts, it does start pretty easy. I've done that before already. Okay, so we're in the off, on, and run. Locked in the full position, throttle position. So it's almost there. I'm going to choke it halfway. Choke it full. Off choke. So keep the throttle, or you can shut it down, or you can pull the trigger. That's a throttle lock. So I've got it idling now. Let me go ahead and put it on. This is supposed to be hard for some people, and I can see it being hard because it's awkward.
You're good.
That's low for me. If you were about 6 inches shorter, it'd be about perfect. Okay, so as you can see, it's on my back. But this is the first time I've run it wet. I've run it dry, so I need to adjust the straps down a little bit. So you just pull down on it, and it'll go. We're gonna test it. Nothing out yet. Not down here yet. So let's show them over here in the graph. Throttle up. Here it goes. Valve off, and it died. So that's the quick video, guys, to show you how that works. It's going to work great. I'm sure it will. It's going to be sweaty and uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as getting bit by mosquitoes 1,000 times every time I walk out the house. So without that, that's the last part of this video. So don't wait around for anything awesome after this. Thanks for watching, guys. Come back for more. Okay, so guys, I just did the first run with this. I said we were done, but I lied. I ran this thing on the front, approximately 4 acres of our property, which is tree lined all the way around. And then the ditch has got some trees and things going in it. And I did, I would say arguably every square inch, if you want to call it that, with either a fine mist or a lot of mist. And I want to show you one mistake I made at the beginning. I don't know how you were supposed to know it, but there's a number here, a number here, a number here, and a number here, and you can turn that for the amount of volume you want to come out. I had it on the 4 setting. I meant to have it on the lowest. I had it on the highest. So it came out quick. I ran through the first 3 gallons, and I mean, I think I got around the house, and that's it. And then I ran the second 3 gallons, and I got like 3/4 of the way around the 4 acres. And that includes trees and ditches and things like this. So quite a bit of overlap today. I don't know exactly all the areas I want to hit yet, but in terms of the use, it's heavy. It wears you out. It's a lot of work, but if it does what it says it's going to do, which is 1 ounce per gallon, is the way we're treating it. I ran 2.5 gallon loads, the second 2 loads, because it was a lot easier to get it back on my back without spilling out. And I was able to mix it while just spraying the hose in, so it worked out nicely. Also, I accidentally killed it when I took it off the first time. Don't kill it, because then you got to start it, and it's hard to start when you're alone, because you have to take it off and then do it again. When it's light, it's very easy to sling it on your back compared to when it's full. The way we found that worked well is I had my wife, the camera crew, holding this and just lifting it up and brought it up to my back, and then I just stepped into it. It was a little bit easier than the table. The table would get you by if you were alone. The bed of a truck would work well if you were carrying this thing out to, you know, do somebody's yard, other than your own, of course. But the other thing is, make sure when you start hearing this noise. It's like a herm. It's like a sucking. You'll know you're out, and you'll know the first time it happens, because when you look down, this thing is not going to have any fluid in it, or it's going to have partial fluid. Now you think, well, obviously, Brian, well, it's not. It's always got air bubbles in it. The whole time I was running, it had air bubbles the whole time. So it doesn't keep a constant stream, and so you do have to kind of monitor if it's coming out the end. If you lift up, then the gravity feed, it drops down about your shoulder height, and it goes down where your arm is, and then it has to go up. So it basically doesn't have enough venturi pull to suck it up. It doesn't have enough vacuum pressure to pull it. So if you're not going downhill, it won't suck it into the nozzle. But you can go downhill and then hit the trees and then drop down and then hit the trees. I've heard that before, and it's totally true. So my final thoughts are, yes, it works. Is it easy? I don't know. It's pretty hard to actually do it when you're talking about this much property. Is it going to be worth it? If it does half as much as what it's supposed to do. You see that guy? He just fell to the ground when I smacked him. So then I'm going to be very happy. The only trade-off to that is, like I said, some of the natural predators of the mosquitoes, which is predominantly what we're trying to kill. The dragonflies, inevitably, we're going to get a few of those. Hopefully the dose is low enough that we won't kill them all off, and they will outlive the mosquitoes, which are more vulnerable. But I kind of doubt that's going to be true. Also, I hid in the trees, pretty much all the trees, all my paths that I've cut, which my paths are just around the edge of the tree line and then into the tree line, just so we can walk and enjoy. I don't even have the whole path done yet because I'm still using push mowers, which, believe it or not. And my weed whacker died, so I'd have that fixed. So it's back up and running now, and we plan to get the rest of the paths done. So I just walked and sprayed, and then I walked along the road and hit the ditch, and then hit on the opposite side a little bit so that we can go out there and get the male without being attacked. So that being said, I like it. It's a lot of work. I didn't really expect it to be easy. I knew it'd be a pain, in fact. The other thing is, in terms of PPE, the safety glasses were plenty good to protect my eyes. As you can see, I'm sweating like crazy. I already took off my hat and safety glasses and hearing protection. One thing, if you could get a splash shield instead of safety glasses, I think you would fare better. Because it does kind of plume up in front of you, and if the wind catches it and blows it back at you, you inevitably get a little bit on you. Luckily, I'm much larger than the creatures we're trying to kill, so I don't think it's going to kill me. But if I have 3 arms in the next video, you'll know what happened. Also, when you're spraying it, think about the wind. I was working backward a few times, just because I could feel the wind and I knew where it was coming from, so it just worked better to go backward. Don't be afraid to go backward. It's not a big deal, unless she says no. So anyway, the gas tank. Let's talk about the gas tank. We went through almost all the gas tank. It was just wanting to complain about being low on gas when I put it down off my back and stopped for the end. Obviously, you can see it's empty. It does empty the reservoir. That's a good thing, because sometimes these chemical reservoirs, the takeoff is a little bit too high up, and so you end up with like residual product. In northern climates, that stuff freezes, so you got to be careful about that. And then also, of course, it loses its effectiveness. So maybe the last run of the season, rinse it out, turn it upside down for a second. But remember, you got a gasoline engine, so you can't just like leave it upside down forever. That being said, also, when you put this on, it will try to get away from you if you're doing it by yourself. So one thing that they should have included was some sort of a handle on the lid, because then you could pick it up like this and you could throw it on. So I may try to come up with some sort of a bracket here, or D-rings with a strap or something that goes around here, and then you can pick this up and then throw your arm into it and then get your other arm around. It's just, it's not easy to get on. That's, to be honest with you, that's the thing that's the worst part, because being that it's a gas engine, I only had it die one time, and it's because I shut it off. So that's good. Granted, it's brand new. So we'll see how that holds up. I like it. I would definitely buy it again, but I will tell you guys in subsequent videos if the mosquito problem is resolved. I'll be honest though, it has been better as we've gotten into the warmer, hotter, drier months of the year. That's typical, but this should help to really interfere with the breeding cycle, along with the buzzer, not the buzzer, the bug zapper. Mm-hmm. And then we did the Permethrin for the spiders, and what else did we do? Spiders, ticks, and the ticks will actually be somewhat off-put by this, but only if they get enough concentration of it. That's why we do the little balls for the mice, which, by the way, I saw mice while I was out there. So I know where to start our mice tubes.
Good.
So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. I know this video was really long. It was huge, but for you, nothing less would do. Come back for more. All right, guys, I forgot one more thing. I know, this video keeps going. It never dies. Come in here. Basically, this thing, you don't want it to sit and drag on the floor so the kids can trip over it. So what I found is that trigger mechanism, the locking mechanism, it kind of wraps around there, in its state. Now I added this extra section, so your section may be a little bit shorter. By the way, that may have been unnecessary. It makes it a little bit clunky. I might take it back out. And then I've got the hose that came with it, so I just put the hose back in. Second thing, this thing could be shortened a little bit and that would keep it running downhill. But then in the extreme angles, it might pull the hose. So just keep that in mind. I found a way using the strap that worked really nice. So you take the strap, you run it underneath the elbow, okay? And then you can kind of work this back without even unhooking it. And then that'll keep it from falling down, which is really nice because this thing, it's one of those pieces of machinery like a weed whacker. You know, it takes up a lot of room unless you come up with a good solution. This might be an all right solution because it takes up about the same amount of room as you need to load it on your back. So let's show the people here a better view so they can see. It's about the width of the shelf that's sitting next to it. And that's the other thing you gotta figure out when you get all these chemical treatments and bug killing apparatus. You know, you got this and you got that and you've got the other thing, and the next thing you know, you have to figure out where you're gonna store everything. When we built this house, we built this garage big, 26 feet deep for the truck, because it's a big company truck. And then we built 24 deep on the other two stalls. But you wouldn't believe how fast your garage disappears. So with that being said, we've got a nice little storage arrangement. And the only dead space is here. And that's going to be remedied by building in a shelf. And the shelf will just hang on the end. It's not very heavy when it's empty. Just need it strong enough. Probably just get some A-frames and mount them to the side. But I wanted to show you that because that will really save somebody some trouble. I'm sure you could have figured it out on your own, but now you don't have to figure it out. Thanks for watching, guys. Come back for more awesome tips on how not to kill bugs. Okay, YouTube, in closing, we sprayed this morning. It was hot. It was miserable. It was expensive. But today is the first day that we have all been out as a family in the evening. Everybody's out playing and flying. And it reminds me of the way it was at our old house, except we're here and it's beautiful. I haven't swatted one mosquito. Now, I probably get a little bit heavy on the treatment, but we are gonna actually go to the test, which is down to Cooper's Point, which is, let's just put it this way. It's in the woods. Let's go down there together.
Okay.
My camera crew was reluctant to walk you down to Cooper's Point, but you're coming with us this time.
Somebody's excited at least. Are you coming? Okay, come on.
I am.
All right.
That is a pretty sunset.
It is a pretty sunset.
That's, I think, the third time I heard the bug zapper today.
No, I've been sitting on the porch, but it's been maybe a half a dozen total, not like a half a dozen a minute.
Hundreds. There's another one.
Come on.
So twilight is when they come out, and it gets crazy. Like, we haven't grilled at this house in the evening since we lived here.
Like, our kids can't be out here because they
can't open
just
the
warm
door.
them. No.
So, I mean, it's gorgeous, and during the day it's not a big deal.
Right.
But during the evening, okay. So we're going down to one spot, and you might say to yourself, "Well, just go down. Don't go down there during the night." Well, it's not just here; it's everywhere. So this would be craziness before this morning.
Well, we'll see.
Well, I can already tell you, it would have been crazy. We would have been attacked. If I have to swat 3 or 4 times, I'm calling this a complete victory. This is one of the many paths that we have added. It's a modification. There was one. but it
I don't
didn't
know.
bother
I'm
me.
not sure that was a mosquito.
Oh.
It could have been, but I don't know if it was.
Something just a little.
There's one around your head.
It's not bothering me though. Hasn't eaten me yet.
Let me see.
You guys see? Some of the lightning bugs live.
Whoa.
So there's a creek right there, and when I say a creek, that's a drainage ditch. The creek in the back is huge, and it's probably 15 feet wide, and it's covered by the leaves that look like that. I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's everywhere, and there's millions of mosquitoes. I'm standing here. I haven't swatted once. This is a complete victory. I think Hannah just swatted. Can you hear the water?
Yeah,
Okay, let's go to the waterfall spot. It's been hot, so
Mom,
that's
shot
why we're all
blueberries.
sweaty.
Yeah. We shot blueberries.
We have their raspberries, Hanny.
No, we shot
You saw some?
Yeah. Okay.
Probably gonna have to wash those now.
Yeah.
So has anybody gotten a bite from a mosquito yet?
Nope. No.
Okay, so we show you guys this at home because it's kind of a lot of work to do it. But if you're buying property in the country, you'll know what I mean when I say you feel like they've stolen all the property you just bought.
Yes.
And you're really buying the property for summer if you're in a northern climate. You're not buying it for the middle of winter. It's still beautiful, but you don't get to do anything other than go out and take care of stuff. So far, not one swat, Megan.
Nope.
I mean, camera crew. So, this part's not filled in yet, obviously, guys.
Yeah, we know.
We know you know.
I'm talking to the people in YouTube. Okay, so this is the second place of insanity, okay? This is where you would never dare stand.
It's like the pit of despair.
So, let's just stand here for a second and breathe carbon dioxide. There's one right there. I didn't even get him, but still. Do you hear the waterfall? It's kind of slow. Shh, Hanny, quiet. I don't even hear bugs. This is crazy. I mean, you wouldn't have stood here after that sun hits about there. There's one about to get on your arm, but it hasn't bitten you. It must be kind of like mixed up. And this is the other spot where you would never, ever, ever dare.
What's up, Frog?
There's a little tiny baby one.
So this spot, this is where they buried my septic discharge and my sump discharge. And there was weeds and grass to here since this winter. I had one bug hit my cheek. Guys, I'm telling you, you would never have stood here. Never. You would have come down here in like a heavy coat and long pants, and you would still get like 10 bites. We got to take them down the path. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Let's go down the path.
We gotta go. Yeah.
We got to go. We have to
Plus,
do
we
it.
can show the deadfall bridge if they haven't been there since we built that thing.
Yes, that's right. We can give them an update on the failed deadfall bridge.
And
Come
I
on, Bub.
went all the way across it.
You did go all the way across it.
Here's the house from the back.
Wow.
Make sure to show them our awesome temporary window treatment.
And that's our sweating hill.
Come on, guys.
That's how we sweat.
Yes, you sled
We
on
slid down
beanbags.
that steep part
Yes. That's
on
no-
beanbags and sleds.
So these bushes would normally be. You'd literally hear the swarms of mosquitoes right here. Bye, guys. I'm listening for mosquitoes. I'm not hearing anything. Okay, let's go back down this path because it's kind of cool. And you guys get to see this beautiful sunset. Make sure you're showing them.
I feel that real sound.
You stay close to Caleb.
Do you see? Did you show them?
Yeah, we just showed him the sunset.
Okay. So quiet kids. So I just cut this stuff back so I could get into the thick of the trees. I'm starting to see some bugs, but they're not bothering us, so they're probably not all mosquitoes, first of all. This is so nice because back here it's shaded, it's cool, it's comfortable, and I see 2 mosquitoes. But I'm telling you, I cut this grass last weekend and it was about the same temperature, it was hot, and I was out here running like crazy, and they were out here just trying to eat me alive. As you can see, this is not the place you would hang out during twilight typically. Not saying that we won't see a mosquito, but you would have been eaten alive by now. Okay, so this is the path where it opens up into the mouth of the waterway. So now, I'm not going to be surprised if I see some, because I can only get so much spray. Let's show them down here.
Caleb. Nope.
Quiet, please. Do you hear them teeming? And the lightning bugs seem to have lived, which is awesome.
It's still kind of early.
I can't
for the
believe
lightning
it
bugs.
because this, guys, I'm telling you, 3 days ago, you would have never done this. Look, first mosquito, and I killed it. That's the first mosquito that I attempted to suck my blood. I would have had one coming out the front door at the house. Look at this gorgeous sunset.
Beautiful.
This was where we courted our property before we bought it. Was this little area down here. This is where we would come and enjoy it before we bought it, while we were waiting on the county to try to screw us over out of buying it and not approve the replats and rezoning and things like this. And so we were down here, and all I did was weed whack this little area, and we would play down here. And this is down by the creek again.
Caleb.
This is what, no, stay back. This is what feeds the name creek. And that's our man bridge that we built initially. Why don't you stay with him, please? Hold his hand. You would never have been standing here, guys. I'm telling you. If spraying gave me this results, I would be tempted to do it every day, but I'm obviously not going to do that. So we took a week on and off to film this video, and we've told you it's over like 3 times now. So just stop believing us. But I can tell you right now, I have never stood here, shorts, t-shirt, and flip-flops, and I've gotten one bite.
Did it even bite you? Or
I
just
don't
land
think
on
so.
you?
I think I got him.
Yeah.
That's incredible, guys. Incredible. We've
The
never.
kids, they're
When we
not
bought this
swarming.
property,
Yeah.
we'd pull in with our truck and we'd park in the tall grass, and there'd be monsters like this big that would just swarm the car. So this is how you get your property back, guys. You go get the sprayer. You go through the hard work of spraying it. You try to keep yourself alive by not getting the stuff all over you. And then, you know, I think I might have one on my back trying to bite me, but even still, you know, that's nothing. That's
Yeah.
nothing, guys. It is the prime time right now for mosquitoes. So I think we're good to go. I think this was a complete 100% victory, and we might even try to catch one more clip next week, just to follow it up and let you know if it's still working. And then maybe we'll let you know when it stops working, because it's not going to last forever. Interrupting the life cycle will make a big difference, but it's not going to completely stop mosquitoes. So now I got to do the other side of the property at some point, possibly down by the named creek, which is like another planet. It's nothing like, I mean, it's like whatever this is times 10. So have they seen down here? Show them this. This is what you can't see when we're flying. Show them up there. See over there? That's where we were just standing, over there. And then our house is up there. 45 feet of elevation change here. So that's how we get so much drainage. And there's so much water, because you're looking down into the creek. This is our the man bridge that we built. It's just a deadfall bridge. And it's always been crazy Mosquitoville.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I promise this time, this might be the last clip. So if you haven't already stopped watching, you could potentially do that now.